and welcome to the Scale Modelling Cafe. My name is Jamie and welcome to another Sprue Tour. And the subject of this video is this little thing. It is Arma Hobby's Ki-84 Hayate. Now, you notice I said Ki rather than Ki. The reason I said that was there's an Australian podcast called On the Bench and I listen to it fairly regularly, and on there they said one of their friends who's a bit of an expert in all these things said it was actually pronounced Ki and not Ki. So who am I to argue with those fellas? So I'm going to call this the Ki-84. Arma Hobby have been going from strength to strength. That's easy for me to say. They are a relatively newcomer into plastic kits. They evolved from doing resin accessories and branched out into kits and have very rapidly taken the 1/72nd scale genre by storm. They have to date a small range really of modern toolings, I'll say. They did the Iskra, the small Polish trainer jet, as their first model. I think it's fair to say excuse me, that's you know, more towards the limited run levels of quality, although still a nice kit, don't get me wrong. But they took the world by storm with this 1/72nd scale Hurricane, and I built two of those back in the day. Added a few rivets on one of them, but other than that, straight from the box. And they are lovely kits. And every subsequent kit they've released, they've got better and better and better. I didn't get the P51 Mustang because that's the B/C version, the Razorback version, and I'm waiting for the D. As soon as the D comes out, I'm going to grab it for sure. Not really my subject, the B/C. However, it's a beautiful kit by all accounts. I have got just behind you there in the cupboard a 72nd scale Wildcat. I have built the Wildcat and it is a beautiful model, although I did add all the rivets to it, and it's going to be the same with this one. I am going to build this kit and I am going to add the rivets to it, but the surface detail, as you'll see in a moment, is really, really nice. So this is their latest release of time of recording, and I'm anticipating it to be even better than Wildcat, because like I say, they get better and better with each release, or even, you know, I nearly said better than the Mustang, but I've not built the Mustang, but everyone says it's amazing, and I'm hoping this is going to be amazing as well. So enough of the waffle and the blah, let's pop over to the bench and see what's in the box. Okay, so starting with the instructions then. So we got some blah about the aeroplane, a parts call out or a sprue layout. So as you can see, one grey sprue, not quite true, more of that in a moment. Masks, photo etch, clear parts in one transparent sprue, and the decal sheet in full colour. What's really cool are the colour callouts. So all these different companies here, which is Hataka, AK Mr. Paint, Ammo Mr. Colour, Vallejo, which should be pronounced Vallejo, but I'm from the UK, so I'm going to call it Vallejo, and Tamiya. And as you can see, just a couple of gaps, but that's a really nice touch to have all those different colours. That's cool. Right, sorry if there's a bit of glare on here. Let's see if I can. Hold on. Let's try. Okay, that's a little bit better, not quite as bright, but it's got rid of some of the glare. Let's try and infill. Right, there we go, that'll do. That's a good compromise. So apologies for that. What have we got then? So clearly we're starting in the cockpit with all the detail parts, but straight away, right from the off, innovation. So the control column and this lever thing here are going in from the bottom, which is cool. So that's going to be really nice and secure. And then straight onto the seat mount, which is moulded flat,
and you have to bend it to the correct angle, but it shows you the diagram. As long as that doesn't bend back, we're in business. I like that. And then it's a fairly straightforward process of putting everything together. Decals for the instruments, although I will be using an Edward set for that, but the decals look really nice on the sheet. And then a couple of options here of drilling and opening some holes, so some nice attention to detail, some good research from Arma. And cockpit going in. Before the engine goes in, we have to build the engine, so each row of cylinders is one piece, 2-piece push rods, and then some kind of prop mounting device, and then the Photoetched ignition harness, which I tried using on the Wildcat, but it was just so fine, it just crumbled in my hands, frankly. So I'm going to be using some thin lead wire instead of that. And then the crankcase housing. And then the whole lot with the cockpit and the tail will get sandwiched in the fuselage halves. Down here, 2-piece wings, which is quite cool. So your traditional 1-piece lower wing, but your upper wings are joined in the middle with the roof of the main wheelbase, which is cool. So that's going to nicely set the dihedral. And then it's just a question of putting the aeroplane together, really, adding all the other bits and pieces. We have carb intake choice down here, and a canopy choice, open or closed. And depending on which version you're going to go for, there's separate parts for the, I don't know what you call it really, I want to say turtle deck, but I don't know whether that's correct. Anyway, separate parts, so make sure you get the right one, and opening up this little hole here and here for the open or closed. So pay attention to the instructions is going to be the name of the game. And on the inside of the whatever that's called, there are some decals to go in there, which is, again, is a nice touch. Landing gear, straightforward, 1-piece leg, 1-piece wheel, 1-piece undercarriage door. And the inner doors are moulded integrally with the opening malarkey. Again, so that's a nice touch. That's going to be nice and secure. It's going to be easy to glue. On go your bomb shackles. And then it's just the rest of the dangly bits, really. So the propeller, open or closed cooling gills. And then the ordnance, drop tank or bomb. And for the bomb, looks like this part here, so this is nice, a hand grip. So you put the bomb fins on and then you cut the hand grip off. That's really cool. I like that a lot for the little bombs, and obviously the big bomb if you're going to go there. And that's it. A very simple build looking at that. But there is a little bit of photo etch, which obviously is always optional if you want. So great detail straight from the box. Oh, I don't know what that is. A little bit of blah. Right, colour schemes. Now, there are some really nice ones in here. So, green over grey with some nice splashes of colour, with some yellow wingtip spinner, top of the fin, and a white fuselage band. And most of the markings have got the white circle. And then this one again, green over grey, which is fairly bland in comparison to some of the others, but a nice fin flash in red and white to liven things up with the number underneath. And I've got a feeling this is the one I did in 30 seconds ago, way back when, the Hasegawa one. And one that really appeals to me is this natural metal one. And as with the Edward S199 that I did on the channel, spraying the markings is going to be, if you can get them, the masks for it, and I have, thanks to friend of the channel Nige. This is going to be even more straightforward than the Avia, because this is just one colour, which is red, clearly. So that one really appeals though in natural metal. I could do have fun weathering that, I reckon. And the other scheme that appeals to me is this one, again green over grey, but with some nice big white Homeland Defence, I think they were, white panels for the main markings, yellow stripes, yellow whatnot down on the tail and the spinner again. So it'd be quite tricky if you're going to use the decals here and spray the band to match the colours. But yeah, shouldn't be too bad, shouldn't be too difficult, I would have thought. And then another green over grey, but this time a different green. So this is more of a sort of a bottle green, I suppose, whereas the others are more of an olive colour. And I think this might be a special attack one, but I'm really not sure. In fact, I think... Which one is it? I think this one might be special attack because you get the bombs with it and the flash. I'm really not sure. Maybe. And then the last one for the Brave, which is this kind of green blotchy one over the natural metal. Now there's a few ways you could do this. You could be ultra brave and try and freehand it with the airbrush, or you could brush paint it, or you could paint it all green and then hand paint the silver back in, or you could even try and mask the silver. Now John Wilkes, who again is a good friend of mine, he did the 1/32 scale Su-25 Frogfoot, and it had this kind of camouflage on the front half of the aeroplane, and he put some masking fluid in like a fountain pen type thing and drew it on. So that might be another way if you can get hold of that. But a really nice set of instructions there. That's cool. Right, on to the sprues. So in the sprue layout, it's actually, I think it's this way around. It's actually depicted, or maybe it's that way around. Yeah, it'll be that way around. Depicted like that. And you can see where they've actually snipped off this part of the sprue to fit it in the box. So essentially it is one sprue, but looking at the edge of the frame, it's been deliberately designed like that. But yeah, that's cool. So on this little one, that's where you've got your ordnance, a couple of aerials and things, and your tailplanes. So I'll just put that to one side, and we'll concentrate on the main one. Get rid of that little bit. So as you can see, quite a simple layout. Here's obviously your fuselages and your wings. Here's the two turtle decks, and then we're straight into all the detail parts. So if I can, maybe let's have a go at zooming in. This is going to focus, right, bear with, sorry everybody, let me find the button. There we go. Right, I'll try and keep it at the same range so it will stay in focus. So you can see the engine is really nicely detailed, as is the cockpit floor and the exhausts. Now, I'm pretty sure Edward are bringing out an exhaust set for this, so you may wish to replace that, but they're so fine. That's incredible detail. Really, really nice. Flattened tyres, flattened bulge tyres, which is nice. Here's your push rods for the engine, and there's just a little bit of flash on the end, so they'll need to be sanded down. But overall, that is incredible. What's also incredible is these parts here, which I think is, this might be the throttle. Now I don't know whether these little spiky bits are actually part of the levers or whether you remove those. I think you'd have to look at the instructions. I've got a feeling you're going to remove those fine bits. And it's just all part of the moulding process to preserve the detail. And then if we can maybe even zoom in, oh sorry for the wobble, zoom in even closer. The surface detail is absolutely lovely. Perfectly, beautifully crisp panel line details there. That's some of the best I've seen. And a little bit of raised detail going on. Don't know what this little box is here. This is all part of the machine gun, I think. And there's obviously the shell ejector chutes there. But it's got this matte but really smooth finish. I don't know how they've done that. That's phenomenal. That's really, really nice. And then I'll just make sure we're still in focus because I moved it around. There we go. Onto the fuselage parts. And again, beautiful surface detail. A little bit of riveting around here. And obviously you've got the fasteners going on. But I will be riveting this because I can't not really. It would be such a shame. It's so beautiful and crisp. It deserves rivets, frankly. And then these sort of cooling gill things going on here are so sharp. That's absolutely beautiful. They are perfectly crisp beautifully recessed. That's absolutely amazing. And then if we flip it over, you can see that we've got some detail moulded in on the inside of the fuselage halves. Nice deep recesses for the frames going in, which is absolutely brilliant. And then we've got all this structural detail in the wheel well. Let me just make sure that's in there. Make sure we're in focus again. There we go. Which is great. And the Edward Photoetched Parts have sort of detail for the wheel well walls, which is easy for me to say, with some rivet detail on there and stuff. So again, I'll be using that, but you don't need anything really. This is going to be beautiful straight from the box. So that's the main plastic parts there. The only thing I will mention, actually, I nearly forgot, is the undercarriage legs here, which, let me just make sure, see if I can bring it in even closer. I've got to focus, here it is. So you can see how fine they are. They are amazingly fine. So you're going to have to be really careful with those. If they could bring out a brass replacement set, like what Edward do, then that's a definite investment worth having, I reckon, because that's incredibly fine. So if you're going to take it to shows or anything, then be very careful, is all I'll say. Right, here's the clear parts. Again, let me just focus on that. Wonderfully clear, wonderfully shiny, and really thin. That's much thinner than the Hurricane canopy, which is great, which is probably why it fits over this this rear part with no modification. That's lush, that is. And I'm guessing that's the gun sight there. But they're fantastic. Right. Here's the Photoetched parts. I won't get it out of the bag, but you can see how fine that ignition ring is. And you've got seat belts, some mesh screens there, and a few little cockpit details. And then on the other side, here's your masks, canopy and wheels, which is a really nice touch, and kabuki tape. Now they used to do vinyl masks, which weren't very good actually. They would always lift on the curves. So I'm chuffed to bits they've moved over to the tape variant. That's brilliant. Right, the decals. So you can see I've actually cut these because I cut the decals off I want and I sent them off to Nige. So hence I've already cut this sheet up. But they're printed by, I'm assuming it's Tepmod? Yeah. Printed by Tepmod. So these are the stencils and some of the markings. Really glossy and shiny. Very, very thin carrier film. And you see you've got all the walkway markings down here. And you do get the red ones as well. These are just the yellow ones obviously here and some of the other red ones. And you get some harnesses which you could put onto some lead foil and then put on. So they will be bringing out a set without all the photo etch and the masks. But that's for those. But if you don't like photo etch, you can use those instead. And there's the instrument panel, which looks great. So that's that part of the sheet. And here's your Hinomarus. As you see, I've cut some out here, sent them off to Nige, but they look great as well. Solid colours, nice and thin. Now the thing with Tepmod decals is they can grab on when you put them on, so I recommend plenty of water underneath, if I'm honest. Get them, move them around, get them where you want, and then squeeze the water out, and then put your setting solutions on over the top. That's my experience with Tepmod decals, but I love them. I think they are fantastic Tepmod. They are great, and if I do rivet this, which I think I probably am, no worries with this. Although actually I'm going to spray them, aren't I? So not so much of a drama. But yeah, beautiful decals, and really that's kind of it. So I'll send you back over to the bench, and we can have a bit of a summary and a chat. I'll put that in focus. There we go. Continuity and all that. So let's pop back over to the bench and yeah, we'll just have a chat and a bit of a summary or sum up. So there we go. That's a quick run through of the contents of the box. As you can see, and I think you'll agree, that the plastic parts look absolutely beautiful, and actually as a package, it's fantastic. So let's pop back over to the bench and we'll have a chat about it.
So that was Arma Hobby's Ki-84 Hayate. The thing that leaps out at me for this kit is the level of detail, number one, and the surface detail, number two. The cockpit is amazingly detailed. As you saw though, the seat is moulded solid, and I was going to say quite thick. It's quite thick compared to the real thing, let's put it that way. But that's a limitation of the mouldings, nothing to do with Arma Hobby at all, and it's not a criticism. It's a limitation of the plastic medium. So when I build this kit, I have bought the Edward Photoetched set, which does have colour photo etch, obviously, for the harness and the instrument panels, etc. But also it has a replacement seat as well as other things. So I will be using that. Just to add that little bit of finesse. But that's not really a criticism at all by any stretch. This is a beautiful model and I can't wait to get started. I don't know when I'm going to be able to start it. I do have a number of projects that I need to get finished and actually start and finish as well before I can get to grips with this. So maybe sort of 4 or 5 models down the line, but I'm really looking forward to doing this and I'm definitely going to keep up my enthusiasm. The big question is, am I going to rivet it? And I think, to be honest, I probably am. And again, that's not a criticism of Arma, but if they can introduce rivets along the quality and finesse of Edward in their 70-second skits, I've recently bought the S199 Mezek Mule, and that is absolutely beautiful. And also on this channel, I will be doing, in fact you may have even seen it already, I will be doing a sprue tour of the Special Hobby 109E, which is also covered in rivets, and I understand that is from Edward. Whether they actually tooled it or not, I don't know, but they're certainly heavily linked with Edward. I think it might be a scaled down version of their 30-second scale kit, that's what I've heard. But anyway, I'm digressing now. That was the Arma Hobby Ki-84. It's amazing, and I can't wait to build it. So, I'll see you on the next one. Thank you, bye-bye.